Essex, a helping hand with your land.
Hey guys, Neil from Essex. We need to have a short conversation today. I'm not a big fan of making videos like this. I tend to like to stick to the product educational type thing. In the course of a year now of living with coronavirus and this kind of new era that we've lived in here for a while, I've only made 2 videos talking about kind of the state of the industry and how inventories are changing and that kind of thing. And I feel like it's time to sit down and have a conversation about what spring and this upcoming season is likely to look like, because the picture here continues to change. If we went back into the very first one of those update videos that I made back in May, was as we were coming through the beginnings of the virus and people were at home and business had gotten really quiet but then just started to pick back up again. We were noticing that uptick in business and a little bit of supply chain disruption, but things were feeling pretty normal. A couple months later, we got into August and did another one of these videos and started pointing out that there are particular models that we have completely run out of, but we're still feeling pretty good about where we were at and the ability of our manufacturers to resupply us. It's now February. We've gone through now, from that point in August, of November, December, January, and now a good way into February. And business has not slowed down much here in the wintertime like it usually would. If you follow industry news, Farm Equipment Magazine that sends out emails periodically, you'll notice that pretty well every one of our vendors are reporting sales being up in the 10 to 15% range. Now that might not seem like a lot to you, but when you go through and you look at companies like this with these big factories that they're running at near capacity in order to keep them as profitable as possible, 10 or 15% is kind of a big deal. It takes away all of our cushion and their ability to really properly resupply us. We sit and measure our inventory a lot of times on weeks or months supply. And generally this time of year, we're normally sitting around 8 to 9 months supply of inventory. Now that might seem like a lot, but we're going into our peak selling season and we're gonna sell that down really, really quickly to a point that we get into summertime and then things start to slow a little bit. Sitting here in February right now, at best we're at about 8 weeks supply. We're probably around about a quarter of the inventory that we would like to have on the ground right now. If I go through and I remove things like zero-turn mowers from that equation, I'm under 1 month's supply. There is very, very little machinery here. Why we walked over here is to show you what's behind me. Now this isn't just a Kubota problem, but this is the most visible place that we see it down here. If you watch videos before where I come down here around this warehouse area, this is usually a point that you're gonna see BX series tractors down here stacked 4 and 5 high. And right now I don't think there's any. So this isn't to sit and tell you and scare you out of the fact that you're not going to be able to find equipment this year. You probably still will. So here's what's happening. As this machinery is arriving and as things are coming into the store, 40 to 50% of what hits our loading dock is already sold when it hits the ground. What you need to do this year is think about pre-selling. Do not wait until April and expect to come in here when you have jobs to do and things that you want to get done, crops to cut, things to move, whatever, and think that you can come in here and get a piece of equipment in a week's time. Even when you see things sitting around out here, so much of what's on the ground right now at our stores is sold. It just isn't delivered to customers yet because we're waiting on implements and accessory kits and that kind of thing. It's taking a lot longer than usual in order to get transactions complete and done and everything out the door. Remember when we go through a selling process, selling a piece of equipment, it's not just picking out the base model for you, throwing everything together and getting it out the door. Our machines have tire selections and hydraulic kits and buckets and implements and attachments that need to go with them. Many of our transactions have probably a typical of 4 to 6 pieces that go together in order to make a complete sale to you. And any one of those 4 to 6 pieces can hold things up. So it's just taking a lot longer than what's typical to get these things done. So we're trying to have a fairly positive message in this regard. Equipment does continue to come in quickly. We're getting machines together and back out the door to customers again, But we run with this situation where so much of what's hitting our loading dock is already sold. We're just not building this buffer at this point that when spring hits and things really get busy, that we're going to be able to get these packages together and out the door very quickly for you. So if you're considering a spring purchase, this is a time that I would sit down and say it's probably good to formulate in your head what that might be and get those orders in the system, get your name on that piece of equipment so that when things start hitting the ground, we can get it for you and you can get out and do your spring work. Because that's a lot of our equipment, and it goes into a lot of different industries, a lot of different uses. People tend to wait until they're ready to put that machine to work and not think that 2 months ahead. And right now we really need you to be doing that. It would be a big help for us to have that little bit of extra time to get stuff together, because nobody likes to decide to make one of these purchases, put the money down, get the credit approvals in place, and then be told they have to wait several weeks for the machine to come out. It's just, I understand. I'm the same way. So if you're going through the buying process, you see me on YouTube here by this point, educate yourself, take your time, make sure you're buying the right machine. We don't try to be high pressure sellers, but know the situation the industry is in right now. None of the equipment dealerships like ourselves are sitting on as much machinery as we want to right now, and that's gonna make springtime really complicated for us. So if you're going through the buying process and we can help, or if you have parts and service needs for a machine you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at Messick's.com.